Who is Napoleon Bonaparte to you?
Napoleon Bonaparte to me is one of the most important people in the post-Enlightenment era. He is credited with spreading the Enlightenment across Europe and one of the most infamous and strong, intelligent emperors in the history of Western civilization.
Who is Napoleon Bonaparte to you?
To me, Napoleon ranks as one of the most prestigious military campaigners. We're still learning some of the tactics that he used to this day. And so he was very effective on the battlefield, and he also rallied the French people to, instead of focus on internal issues, more so unite and rally around a conquest amongst different European states around France, yes.
Many people are also important in history. Do you think Napoleon stands out from the rest? Why or why not?
Yeah, because a lot of Enlightenment people in that time, they wrote books and they protested and they were in advocacy, but Napoleon was one of the few enlightened despots that wielded real power, who could force these changes on governments that didn't want it to happen. He went in and forced the Napoleonic Code so that it moved things along much quicker so people could have freedom shortly after his rule spread through Europe.
Many people contributed a lot in history and changed their country. Do you think Napoleon stands out from the rest? Why or why not?
I think what Napoleon had to work with was a very chaotic state. And what he did was not easy to do. It had to take a lot of grit and ambition. And I think Napoleon, his character and his boldness was probably the reason why France largely was successful in their conquest in the different European states.
How important do you think he was in history?
Very important. Although he was an emperor, he was part of, in a way, the French Revolution. So he understood why it happened, and he understood how to work with the will of the people. And he carried the concepts with the Napoleonic Code all over Europe, spreading ideas so that people could have little revolutions of their own until eventually all of Europe caught on fire to the idea of freedom and enlightened ideas.
How do you think he could have changed any of his decisions in history or contribute more?
Well, first thing, he shouldn't have invaded Russia. That was a bad idea. That was his biggest mistake. Two, he was a dictator. I mean, he did bring freedom. He could have brought more, I guess, but I guess, I don't know, those are two issues, I guess.
Napoleon Bonaparte actually has a strikingly similar, it's almost like their conquest with Alexander the Great was almost parallel. I think the ambition went to his head, and I think that's exactly what happened at Waterloo. Is I think that he refused to pull back because his ambition got the best of him. And I think if he tended more to his own state that was in chaos, I think it would have solidified the French state more than what happened after he was exiled. Napoleon has actually a very interesting quote on Jesus Christ, which is largely unknown, but I think that it would be very relevant to speak about this because it tells his mentality about what conquering actually is. And it's stated here. He quotes, "Alexander, Caesar, Charlemagne, and I have founded empires, but on what did we rest the creations of our genius? Upon force. Jesus Christ, however, founded his empire upon love. And at this hour, millions of men would die for him." And I think that quote is very interesting because the dichotomy between him and Jesus Christ and all of the people that represented conquest and kingdom, he saw that Jesus Christ was the most effective of all of them, and his methods were completely different. So perhaps Napoleon had a second thought on how he should conquer the world, because you can conquer the world through fear and love, and his was inflicting fear. He couldn't quite get the latter.